So there's been a lot of discussion about the NBA Finals and NBA ratings in general. And I don't know. I actually think when I've listened to our Fox Sports Radio and Fox Sports 1 shows, there's been a wide variance of it in terms of how it's been portrayed. But I actually think Adam Silver says a lot of interesting stuff. I don't know if that stuff is substantive in terms of the state of the NBA, even if a lot of his stuff does. Like, multiple things can be true. So I'm going to play for you what Adam Silver said, and then we're going to discuss it as we get ready for Game 4 NBA Finals tonight in Indianapolis. Pacers up 2-1. Here was Adam Silver in an interview with ESPN when he's asked about the NBA Finals ratings.
So we have two markets, as we've all been around for the last week in Oklahoma City and Indianapolis, that are completely captured by the finals. I mean, every store you go to, there's signage. Everyone, look at this concourse here.
Yeah.
Everybody on the streets is wearing the team colors. I mean, and I think I've been doing this for a long time. I don't remember being in two markets where it feels like so dominant to have these games. Then as a media matter, it's interesting. Like, people compare us to 20 years ago, but for these games 1 and 2 so far are the highest rated programs in May and June so far on television. And if something beats us, it'll be another sports program. Back 20 years ago, we often didn't win the night when the finals were on.
Okay, so the argument is basically, hey, here's the deal. You guys are looking at today's ratings through a lens of yesterday. And the point he's making is it's not necessarily about what the number is. It's about winning the night, because fewer and fewer people watch traditional TV. So the ratings, especially in midweek, aren't going to reflect as much. Now, again, does he make a case that I would agree with in terms of, if you've been to Oklahoma, and obviously most of you guys know I spent a ton of time in Oklahoma. Yeah, the entire state is completely all windows, doors, street lights, whatever. Everything is Oklahoma City Thunder, and the same is in Indiana. But you get that because you're in smaller markets, right? So the idea that, okay, maybe it's better because they actually carry here. Look, if you had in New York, it wouldn't be the same, but there'd be way more people that cared a lot more. Same thing in Boston, bigger markets. The argument he's making about ratings is an interesting one. He also talked about how it's been kind of politicized in terms of ratings, and I don't know if that's why people watch. Jay Stu, what are your thoughts on Silver's comments on the ratings?
All right, so I'm going to throw this out here to the three of you, or maybe listeners. I want to know if streaming numbers are factored into these low ratings. I have a feeling they are. If they're not by now, that's pretty nonsensical. So I want to know that. And then as we effort that, I think that him saying that the concourse here in Indianapolis is full, so it definitely speaks to how excited people are. That was a complete nothing burger.
Yeah, I told him.
Him saying that it's tough to compare the ratings to 20 years ago because we would go nights where we wouldn't even win nights 20 years ago, and we're winning nights this time around. Okay, that's cool. That sounds like a lot of word salad, and it sounds like, and we just had an election season, so I'm just going to make this as a reference. This isn't a political stance. During the election season, one side of the political aisle wanted us to believe that crime was down and that prices were down. Our day-to-day, the eye test, told us different. So don't lie to us. Adam Silver, I wake up every morning and go through NBA content, and I see how other shows stack their shows and how they treat NBA Finals content. There just hasn't been a whole lot of buzz. I don't think any of the four of us could disagree with that. So it's like you're telling me something, that the ratings are actually good and that your sport is being watched and is popular, but the eye test tells us differently.
I agree with a lot of that. I agree with a lot of that. I would say if we want to go politics, there were lies coming from both sides which were blatantly and patently false. And it's like you said, like, well, let's follow up. Did anybody follow up to see did they actually not win nights when they were in the NBA Finals? I'm guessing he's talking about post Michael Jordan, not during the Michael Jordan era. I do think. Go ahead.
And to answer Jason's question, from the information that I've gathered, yes, streaming numbers are included.
Yeah.
In those numbers.
Why do you guys think a smaller percentage of people watch the NBA than used to watch the NBA? There's no right or wrong answer. Byron, what do you think?
The NBA as a whole, or are we talking about the playoffs? Because part of my reason why I think like regular season ratings are down is because we make the playoffs and the finals everything.
Yeah. But the playoff numbers are not what they used to be either.
And I think that your point about the markets, like just of like, obviously if the Lakers made it or the Knicks made it, you're going to have a bigger number. That is obvious.
And if the Lakers were in the NBA Finals, it would be a gigantic thing in the city of Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
Maybe not as all-encompassing as in Oklahoma City, but the Lakers are kind of big in L.A., kind of, sort of. So that argument he makes, the concourse argument, the city arguments, is it's not word salad. It's like, yeah, okay, it's a red herring. It already existed.
Correct. Yeah, I just think the product as a whole, I just don't think that people are buying in. I think the season is extremely long. I've told you that I think that the NBA is tiresome. It's draining. And it's funny, I had seen a clip on TikTok and I forgot who it was, but in how we're like digesting this finals and digesting these games, not everything is an indictment on legacy. And I've felt that same point as well. Like if you just take the game for what it is and what it is, but it's either a legacy play or it's a no play, and I don't feel that's good for the game. But I just think that following the NBA is exhausting.
Sam, why do you think less people watch the NBA?
Thinking of four kind of reasons, and stop me if any of them kind of don't make sense to you, but I do think that post MJ, that's a reason. And that's like 25 years of post Michael Jordan. The continuing rise of the NFL, even though it was huge. Obviously, it was huge back 30 years ago, but it's even bigger now somehow. Maybe rule changes, making it so that offenses just have more freedom and you can't, mug guys like you used to. Maybe in politics maybe plays a role. I don't really sense the political vibe this year so much, or guys making political statements or stands or gestures, and there's a lot going on in the world. But those are the four reasons. NFL steal some attention post MJ, maybe some rule changes, maybe some politics.
Okay. I think the politics thing is just confirmation bias. I think if you didn't like the NBA, you don't like those guys. I do think that there is an element. I actually really agree with Dan on two different fronts. One, we do make it all about the postseason. And then I think you combine with the fact that more regular season games are on national TV now than have ever been on before, and it's too much. The games don't matter. Nobody focuses on them, and there's more of them on than ever, and it's just tiresome. I do think that the inside the NBA and the old heads that cover it, that talking about how they don't like the new NBA or how it's played, I don't think that helps. That's not. You don't have to dot your I's with hearts, but there just isn't. That just isn't a good way to sell the fringe on you should watch. Hey, you should watch this thing, even though it used to be way better. They shoot too many threes. They take games off, right? Like, just pointing out the bad parts is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And then, I just think they leave themselves up for criticism with so much of the drama and the trade demands and too many podcasts, just like too much drama. It's like, it's one thing if you have a season that lasts, what is it, like 9 months?
Yes, plus.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's one,
yeah.
let's say 9. It's one thing if you have a season that lasts 9 months. It's another thing if you have a season that lasts 9 months where the guys are making gargantuan contracts and nobody appears to be happy. Right? So many of the current players don't appear to be happy. The foreign player, the past players aren't happy with the new players being unhappy or how they play, and so fans are like, so I'm supposed to buy into this stuff? Yet kids love it. There's still a huge number of basketball fans internationally. Of our export sports, I would say it's the most popular. I don't think it's particularly close, and yet it's kind of stalled out here. And we're creeping up on the post-LeBron Steph era, and the league is going to really, really struggle to find that next star. Superstar. Just we had to wait how long after Jordan retired before we got LeBron? And look, Kobe was great, but Kobe wasn't beloved. He just wasn't. He was really hard to deal with for a really long time. He didn't like his own teammates, his own coaches. Even when he won, he was hard for people to love. And he's more beloved now because of the last 2 titles, but also, look, because he kind of evolved as a human and then he died way too early. But there was a massive gap, a huge fall off when Jordan left the game. And I think we're getting ready for one of those. And then you factor in that the NBA's just lost a PR battle. I don't think it's I've kind of won Jay Stu over with this thing. I liken it to baseball. It's way better than anybody's perception of it is. The NBA is way better than even the NFL playoffs. And the NFL, I don't think it's as bad as Jay Stu makes it, but the product oftentimes is not great. And yet, people watch. Why? It's easy to gamble on. Why? Because it's only on 3 days a week. Whereas the NBA is on all the time. People are always talking about it. It's kind of heavy. No one ever appears to be happy. People who played in it, cover it, coached it, everybody bitches all the time. And at some point, you're just like, yeah, I'm kind of good. And despite the fact this is a super competitive series, it has zero buzz. None.
In a way, it's counterproductive because the people that aren't going to watch even if there are more games, and then the people who are going to watch aren't going to watch as much because there are more games.
Mm-hmm. Can I also say that do we consider the play-in game as the start of the playoffs, like the play-in games?
The NBA doesn't, but I do.
Okay, so the start of the play-in games was April 15th. Oh, and I know we love the NBA playoffs and we kind of put the spotlight on it more than the regular season, but the playoffs are really long.
Yep.
2 months. To get halfway through the finals.
Sam, I've done the math on this. I've said this on the network. If this was an NFL schedule, the NBA playoffs would last from week 1 to the beginning of week 11 in the NFL. That's more than half of the regular season. If you were to spread it out and be like, okay, this was week 1 of the season, week 2, week 3.
That's crazy.
And the NBA draft, 2-night affair now starting in less than 2 weeks, the 25th. Then you have free agency and summer league after that. So you're in mid-July still kind of talking about the NBA, and training camp start in September now that mid-October is the start of the season. So, Doug, when you say 9 months, August is the only month that there isn't something NBA-related going on. I mean, NBA Media Days happen on like September 20th. It's like week 2 of the NFL season. It's long.
It's crazy. And, then summer basketball is a thing. Last year it was the Olympics as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then the offseason, whatever the offseason is, there's so many trades and so much player movement that I think it does feed into the narrative of unhappiness, and it just constantly being a part of the of what's going on in sports, and people tired of it.